Yeah, we had Ryan Tierney last year, and we've had Stephen Spear spoke to us, and I just I sent Paul a request last year and not expecting to hear anything back, and I didn't. And then I sent another one, and I didn't hear anything back, and I just keep going, and eventually I get this WhatsApp message. I get a voice message on LinkedIn, and I thought, how the hell is he doing that? I've got to figure this one out. And if you've never done it before, go onto your phone and go onto LinkedIn and press the microphone, and away you go. So I managed to figure out how to send him a voicemail back, and ever since then, Paul, I think WhatsApp is your preferred method of communication. Yeah,
exactly. So you said you tried to contact me on LinkedIn. I rarely ever check it. I'm just too busy to check that. Yeah.
So listen,
I could barely keep up with anything else.
I'm going to say nothing. I really want to hear as much as Paul can share with us in the next hour or so. And again, really privileged. Thanks for joining us, Paul. And over to you.
Sure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, lean was simple. I will explain. But in order to get that, you have to understand that lean is actually stop. It's stop simple. How could that be? So I'm going to start off by telling you that I can't teach you anything. So you came on this conference thinking to yourself, oh, what's this guy going to teach me today? What am I going to learn? Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to teach you anything because I can't teach you anything. All I can do is show you what we're doing and what literally tens of thousands of companies around the world who are doing 2-second lean are doing. And it's pretty remarkable because it's fun. Takes some hard work, but the results are pretty awesome. So the way I learned this concept, I can only show you what I'm doing, is from Mr. Yoshino, this man on the screen right here. I was just with Mr. Yoshino yesterday. He's been with Toyota for 45 years, and he's the one that led the NUMMI transformation in GM in the United States in 1984. He was tasked with training 1,000 former union GM employees who lost their job because GM closed the worst plant in GM worldwide. And Toyota wanted to make cars in the United States. And so they did a joint venture with GM that helped them figure out how to negotiate the United States. And then for exchange for that, Toyota showed GM how to make high quality, small cars. And Mr. Yoshino had to train these surly union American employees in Japan. So what he did is he took 30 at a time over the course of a year, every 3 weeks, and he brought them to Japan and he showed them what the Japanese were doing. He did not teach. And I was sitting in Mr. Yoshino's office a couple of years back and I asked him about that. And this is what he said. We'll take a little trip over to Japan.
I was assigned to the training manager, but I don't know what to do. So
you can hear everything fine, Steve?
Try to change the culture of the ex-GM people. Oh, go ahead, do that. It's not
impossible.
Easy. Impossible. And only 3 weeks. How can we change the attitude?
So can you hear it?
Mr. Yoshino.
So we decided, okay, let us just show them exactly what we're doing and let them decide what they need to do. We decided not to use the word teach, or not even coach. So
the minute you said you were teaching them, then it kind of made them seem like they were below you, but you didn't make them feel that way at all.
So that is what we agreed with each other. And
do you know what? I've heard a lot of people say a lot of great things before, but I think that might have been one of the top things I've ever heard.
So, Mr. Yoshino very thoughtfully decided not to use the word teach with the Americans and just say, hey, we'll just show you what we're doing. And I learned that concept and I thought, wow, that is incredible. So I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm simply going to show you what we're doing and it's your decision. So here is the story of NUMMI in about 2 minutes.
Could Toyota take one of the worst factories on Earth and make it into one of the best, using the exact same workers? Toyota's first step was to send workers like Madrid to the carmaker's Japanese factories. There, Madrid saw a worker misthread a bolt. And then, something totally unexpected happened. The worker reached up to pull a rope hanging overhead, and boom! The bolt snapped. The worker fell to the ground, and Madrid saw a worker misthread a bolt. And then, something totally unexpected happened. The worker reached up to pull a rope hanging overhead, and boom! The worker fell to the ground, and Madrid saw a worker misthread a bolt. And then, something totally unexpected happened. The worker reached up to pull a rope hanging overhead, and boom!
Boom, they stop the line. They stop the line to repair it. Gee, that makes sense. Fix it now. That impressed me, that they want to build a quality car. One bolt. One bolt changed my attitude.
That was Toyota's philosophy, that workers should be empowered to stop an assembly line or invent new tools or do whatever else they feel like they need to do in order to get things done. The idea is that if you give workers the authority to take control, you'll not only unlock innovation, but motivation. After Toyota implemented lean management in Fremont, within just 2 years, the worst auto plant in the world had become one of the best. If you want your team to take more ownership of their work, then give them more power. Put the responsibility for solving a problem with the person who's closest to that problem, regardless of what their title is. And then step back and watch the productivity skyrocket.
So there you go. Lean is a stop culture. So what Toyota showed the GM workers were, when you have a problem, pull the line, stop it and fix it now. So it's your decision what you do with what I'm going to tell you right now. You could say, hey, Paul, you're crazy. I reject everything. It's not that simple. I've been studying lean my whole life, and it's way more complicated than that. That's your prerogative. It's perfectly fine. Or you could say, oh, gosh, this is a different way of looking at it. Maybe this is interesting. Or you can keep doing what you've been doing, because this is what most people are doing. They're going around and around, wondering why they can't build a culture, why they can't get people to do this. And well, there's a reason why. Because frankly, they're approaching it wrong. I approached it wrong for 5 years before I figured out what Toyota was really doing. And it's definitely not a superhero program. It's not where you hire these high-paid consultants to come in and solve all your problems and make flow charts and everything. And no superhero at all needed. You don't need anybody, actually. And it's definitely not bureaucracy. We're not going to tell you to create some whole lean department that's going to solve all your problems, or no charts and graphs. I'm going to tell you to plaster charts and graphs on productivity and efficiency all over your place and how many defects you're making or anything else. I'm not going to tell you to do any of that. And it's definitely not the flavor of the month where you're going to go to some conference 3 months from now and you say, oh, well, that nice new shiny object, I think I'm going to go that direction. It's definitely not that. Once you understand what lean is, you'll never do anything else, because it is the gift that keeps on giving. What it is a total participation system. It means everyone in your organization is completely focused on the elimination of waste through continuous improvement, making small kaizens or small improvements every day. So I'm going to take a little trip from Ireland over to Japan. And I was in Japan about 4 years ago with a guy named Ritsuo Shingo, who's the son of Shigeo Shingo, who, along with Taiichi Ohno, developed the Toyota production system. Ritsuo Shingo was also the president of Toyota China, and a dear friend of mine. He just died just about 2 months ago. I was just with Ritsuo. He's just an awesome guy. But I was on a bus with him in Japan one time, and I asked him a question. I said, Ritsuo, what is the Toyota production system? I don't know anything about it. I'm just curious. I meet you on a park bench and you find out you're the president of Toyota China, son of Shigeo Shingo. I heard about the TPS system, but I really don't know what it is. What would you say? And this is Ritsuo's response.
And I sit down next to you and I ask you what you do, and you tell me, I'm an expert in the Toyota production system, and I said to you, what is that? How would you describe that?
You know nothing, and I should tell you.
No background.
Oh, okay. I should tell you what the TPS is. TPS is the accumulation of small ideas of everybody. It's a
Love it. It's perfect. You don't need to say anymore.
Well, there you have it. It is as simple as the accumulation of small ideas from everyone. And Dr. Ken Snyder was actually he is friends with Ritsuo Shingo, but also friends with his father, Shigeo Shingo. And I asked Ken one time when I was at the Shingo Awards, I said, what was it like working with Shigeo Shingo? And he goes, oh, well, let me tell you one of my most famous stories.
Ken, you were telling me about what Shingo said about the wasted 10 years. What was it?
He spent 10 years studying statistical quality control, a lot of Deming's work and things like that. He said, I got enamored by it. I loved it. And then after about 10 years, he gradually began to realize it was a waste. And he calls it his lost 10 years. Why did he call it a waste? Is because he was focusing on measuring and controlling defects instead of eliminating them.
Instead of doing it.
Instead of doing it, yeah. You're measuring instead of eliminating.
And you said about it put statistics, put the hand, put
yeah.
He
had a lot of other critiques of using statistics. Another one was that he said it takes the problem of eliminating defects out of the hands of the operators who are dealing with it every day, and into the hands of the engineers who are doing all the statistical analyses.
Genius.
So there's Shingo for you. Shingo on quality.
So the bottom line is lean is about stopping and actually making improvements every day, not getting locked in your office in statistical analysis or charts and graphs and creating a bureaucracy. It's about doing it. It's about stopping and doing it every chance you get. So this is my house and this is my garden, and I do a little thing here on what lean means to me and how I implement it every day in my life.
Cool. But the bottom line is, this is going to be one of the most amazing journeys of your life. Why? Because it's going to transform the way you think. You're going to be able to see waste now for the first time in everything you do, because every day, all you're doing and all I'm doing is a whole bunch of processes. This video is a process. How I take care of my garden is a process. Everything's a process, and all I'm doing is seeing the parts of the process that are cumbersome, difficult, that bug me, things like that, and I'm stopping and I'm fixing them. So you take a look at my yards. They're really unbelievable, and they almost seem insurmountable to take care of anything at this level. But it's really not. And the reason why is because I am constantly improving everything I'm doing. So when you look at the way we have our Kubota set up, we have all of our tools right on top. We even have all the tools GPS taped with green. So if I see that knife laying over there and I pick it up, or it drops out of the Kubota for some reason, I go, oh, that's green tape, that's green GPS, that goes on the green Kubota. Everything is GPS taped, including all the shovels, all the rakes, everything. Oh, look at this. I found one that I just put on. It's not GPS tape. But that would be, oh, I got to go back to the shop to do that. No, I've got the GPS tape right here, so I can make that improvement immediately to solve that problem. That's all we're doing. We're seeing the waste of every process, and instead of continuing on and working, which most people do, the lean thinker stops, makes the improvement, and then works. So that the next time they work, they're in flow. They're not struggling because the rake is where it's supposed to be. It's not lost or misplaced. The knife is where it's supposed to be. It's not lost or misplaced. This is lean thinking. This is all we're really asking anybody to do. When you do that, you got a better life, you got a better job, you got a better organization. Everything gets better.
So that's what we're doing. And you know, Taiichi Ohno said valueless motion is equal to shortening one's life. And I don't want to waste my time walking around looking for tools. And I certainly don't want to waste my life. And Ohno understood that with great clarity. Why are we wasting our time? Why are we wasting our life? So what is 2-second lean? It's about the simplest thing in the world. I boiled it down in a 60-second video.
What is 2-second lean? It is simple. I took a world-class business concept practiced by the top companies in the world, Toyota, Harley-Davidson, Porsche, and made it fun and easy so anyone could tap into the power of daily continuous improvement. There are 3 easy steps to become a powerful lean thinker. First, learn the 8 wastes: overproduction, transportation, inventory, defects, overprocessing, motion, waiting, wasted human potential. Then you will see these different wastes everywhere, and it will drive you crazy. Second, you will be compelled to eliminate the waste you now see and make improvements every day that removes the waste in your life. Make it the first thing you do every day. Small, consistent, tiny, 2-second improvements, all hooked together day after day. adds up to mountains of more free time, friend time, and play time. You see, there's nothing cool about being wasteful, and there is everything cool about becoming a lean thinker. Third, pull out your smartphone and shoot a quick video to show your improvements to your friends, family, and coworkers. That's it. Prepare to experience the power of becoming a lean thinker.
So it turns out that even though I came up with this concept before I ever met Ritsuo Shingo or before I learned about Shigeo Shingo or Ohno's principles, it turns out that it was perfectly aligned. It's basically fixing what bugs you. It's stopping the line and solving the problems now. What I added to it, which makes 2 Second Lean very unique, is the idea of making a quick video and then sharing that video on WhatsApp or some communication channel so that other people could be inspired by it. And in doing that, I have millions and millions and millions of people watching my videos all over the world. My book's been translated into 21 languages now. It's literally taken on a life of its own just because I post the improvement videos and people are inspired by it. So it's pretty simple, but you have to realize in order to do this effectively that this waste is like swirling around you like a tornado. I mean, it's everywhere, but most people don't see it. Most people think they're actually pretty efficient. The truth of the matter is they're not. I actually work with the vice president of Lexus, Mr. Amazawa. He's with me today, been with me the last 3 days. And in the conference that we had with the team, we're in Japan, I said, Mr. Amazawa, what percentage of the work that Toyota does is waste? And it's just shocking to everyone. Everyone says, what, 10%, 20%? Mr. Amazawa says 90% of everything Toyota does is waste. That's how much waste there is in your life and my life. And if Toyota's 9%, we're probably all 99.9%. Most of what we do is not value added, and we mistake it for value added when it's really not. So the question is, can you see the waste around you? My goal is for you to see waste like you've never seen it before. And I ask people, why do you do lean? I've got people on the bus with me in Japan, and I get some pretty incredible answers from people on why they do lean. So I'm on the bus and I say to a guy, why do you do lean? And the answer I get back is pretty incredible. This guy runs a company with 2,000 employees. And Rob says, because it allows me to live 100 lifetimes. I get so much more done. It's like I'm living life after life after life. And because I'm responsible for thousands of people, it just generates so much goodness in my company by reducing the amount of time and effort it takes me and my team to do everything. And I couldn't agree more. And, you know, this is a classic example. You walk into a hotel room. The first thing you got to do is plug your laptop in or plug your computer in. And you're always looking around for that stupid plug. But in this hotel, how beautiful. What a great visual control. They put an icon right on top of the desk telling you where the plug is. It's as simple as these kinds of visual controls and these kinds of small improvements. So my goal is that you see waste like you've never seen it before, that by the time this talk is over with, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I see exactly what Paul's talking about. So I use this as an example, probably the best example I've ever come up with in my entire life. Is I was flying on Delta Airlines one day and I looked at this ticket and I'm dyslexic, ADD, I can't. This is just mumbo jumbo to me. I have no idea what plane I'm on, where I'm supposed to be, what time it takes off, what gate. It's just garbage to me. I take a picture of it on my knee, send it to my graphic design department, and I say, Graham, 23 years old, not trained as a graphic designer. Can you make me a lean airline ticket? In 15 minutes, he comes up with this. So you tell me, this one or Delta's airline? Pretty obvious. Strong visual controls, everything sequenced in the order you need the information. Instead of a bunch of mumbo jumbo, all the fonts are standardized, very visual on everything you need to do. So I had Toyota came to our plant to see what we were doing, and I showed them the lean airline ticket, and they said, it's beautiful, but you could make a few improvements, Paul. He said, put an arrow on there showing the direction of flight. I said, brilliant. That's a 2-second improvement. Add the arrival time. That's a great idea. So people don't have to extrapolate what time you're going to be there or search for it, right? We're departure and arrival. Very simple. And then put the date. And I said, Toyota, you're brilliant. By the time Toyota had taken about 10 steps in my factory, I had the graphics department update it, and it was all done and put back into the keynote. And Toyota looked at me and said, that is unbelievable. You did it that fast. I said, well, you taught me everything I know. I should be able to. So that is lean thinking. So you have flow in everything you do. Now, I've shown this ticket around the world. I was speaking in Canada, and they said, oh, you know what, Paul, the nose of the plane, you have it the wrong direction. When you're walking out of the plane, you don't want to kind of have to invert what you're looking at, change the direction. I said, another great 2-second improvement. So I'm in Germany I'm actually in Hungary at Mercedes-Benz brand new plant. They're speaking to all the top executives of Mercedes-Benz, and they look at it and say, you know what, we enter from the back of the plane here in Germany and Hungary. I said, oh, absolutely. I took my phone out, sent a message to my graphic design team. By the time 15 minutes had gone by, my graphic design had sent me the new ticket. I put it in the talk and put it up on the screen. And the executives looked at me around that round table right there, and they said that would have taken us 6 weeks to get that done. That's lean thinking. When you're in a flow state and you can stop and fix everything right away because you have great processes that serve you. I was in Australia, and the Australian said, oh, you got the back of that ticket. Why don't you put a map of the airport on there so you know exactly where you're going? Because you're in a dark hole at half of these airports. You have no idea the lay of the land and how it's all laid out. Wouldn't it be nice to have it graphically printed exactly where you have to go in relationship to where you are? Done. Sent it to my graphic design team, did it. I'm in Indiana speaking. They go, the QR code? You ever see people always turn the ticket run side, downside, upside? They spend all their time. 50% of the time in the world is spent trying to figure out which side to scan with a QR code. Put it on both sides.
Indiana, one of the guys in the audience noticed that the scanning barcode was in the top right-hand corner. He said, put that same barcode on the backside. So when you go to scan at the airport, whether it's scanning from the top or the bottom, you intuitively know exactly where to line it up when you put it down on the screen. If it's scanning from the bottom, you know exactly where you need to line it up. So clever. Another 2-second improvement.
This is lean thinking. Everywhere I go, Kazakhstan, I'm with a Kazakh team right now. In Japan, I'm in Kazakhstan speaking to 2,000 people. These guys raise their hand and say, hey, we got an improvement. I stop in front of 2,000 people and I tell you, what's the improvement? And they say, you should put the time zone on there. So if you're going from Seattle to JFK or to New York, it's a 3-hour time zone. If you're going to Dublin, what the time zone difference is. I said, genius. I stopped and immediately put +3 on the ticket and updated it. It's that simple. These small improvements, or as Ritsuo Shingo says, the accumulation of small ideas from everyone. How can we do this? Because we see waste. We see the waste of people looking and searching and waiting for information. It's everywhere and in every organization. I can't even tell you the number of organizations I send messages to. It takes forever for them to get back to me. They just don't have flow in anything they do. And these are the 8 deadly sins of waste. And the number 1 is overproduction. So I use this kind of funny example of it, fast food style, to really make the point. You see down there at the bottom in the waiting, number 7, you see 3 customers. So we got to make 3 hamburgers. But we've made 10 hamburgers. So the first waste is you overproduce. And what are you going to do with those 10 hamburgers? You're going to take them and transport them over to a warming oven. Then you're going to build a big old warming oven. You're going to have a big stainless steel rack, and you're going to have heating lamps. And then you're going to have a crew to maintain the heating lamps. And then you're going to have a bigger footprint, and you're going to have bigger air conditioning and bigger insurance. Everything starts growing because you overproduce. But then the customer turns out they want their hamburgers without pickles. But you've made only hamburgers with pickles. Oh, so now you got a defect. So now you got to take all the pickles out, or worse yet, throw the hamburger out and then make another one. You got to double your production now. You already made the wrong thing, then you're going to make another one. So that's over processing. If you have to pull it out, wasted motion. Meanwhile, the customer's waiting because you're doing all the stupid work, and you've wasted the potential of your people because they're just caught up in the waste tornado instead of thinking about how to improve their work. And this is really the state of most companies these days. So the airline ticket overproduces a bunch of information I don't need. They transport me through the airport. They stacked me up in inventory. I got a defect because I missed my plane. And then I have a heart attack. They got to bring in more ambulances to revive me because I'm going to miss my very important meeting. Then over processing, I got to travel to the travel desk and rebook everything, stand in more lines, then huge reader boards to figure out where I'm supposed to go next instead of just making the plane, everything flow, everything be on time. But instead we add all this over processing information desk. This thing costs $100,000, then a couple people to staff it, 7 days a week for 20 hours while the airport's open. Why? Because people don't know how to get to their plane and where they're supposed to go because they make everything so incredibly confusing. Then we've got more motion. We're waiting in line, transferring our luggage. And then I'm waiting because I missed my plane. And we've wasted the potential of all those airline people because they're running around in circles chasing this waste stream. All because people can't see waste. Well, it's not rocket science. It's a freaking airline ticket. And how people can't see this, well, it flummoxes me, to be honest with you. I look at the whole thing and it just seems so obvious, but very few people in the world see this because they can't see waste. So how we improve is simply by applying these 4 standards. Burst safety. Is it safer? Not really. It's not really a safety issue. You could say maybe I'm not going to have a heart attack, so it'd be a little bit safer, but I'm being kind of funny there. The next thing is quality. Is it a better quality product for the customer? Absolutely. We definitely meet that criteria. Is it simpler? Way simpler. And is it faster to retrieve the information? The answer is yes. So 3 of them automatically, it qualifies as an improvement. No safety issue, but definitely a better quality and a simpler and a speedier ticket. This is how we measure whether or not something is relevant in terms of an improvement. So you look at the example I gave you of my Kubota and the way I have everything laid out there. It's definitely, I can do more quality work in my garden because I don't have to search for my tools. And it's way simpler to find my tools because they're all set in Kaizen foam. And it definitely speeds up my productivity. Is it safer? I don't know. Maybe it's safer. I don't have to dig through the back of my Kubota through a bunch of tools that are all tangled with each other. Could be a little bit, but mostly we hit the quality, simplicity, and speed criteria. And that's what we're looking for in everything we do. And if you do that, you got it. And it really is quite simple. That's what Taiichi Toyota figured out when he fixed his mother's loom. That's what Ohno figured out when he wanted to make the shop floor easier for all of his people. And it's definitely what I figured out, that basically all we're doing is stopping and fixing the problems that create havoc and waste in our life. That's lean. If you make it any more complicated than that, all I can say is go knock yourself out because it's not any more complicated than that. I teach it this way around the world. And as I said when I started out, we have tens of thousands of companies, including CD Manners in Ireland, that is setting the world on fire with the simple methodology of empowering its people to stop and improve their work. There you go, Steve.
Brilliant, Paul. We're going to open up for questions. Just on the back of that last piece, I'm going to ask you a question first. You clearly drove, the change at your business, and you've been studying this for a while. And I know Ryan drove it at his business. So if you're not the boss, or does it need the boss to drive the change in most businesses, in your view?
No, it doesn't. Well, certainly, if you want to transform the whole organization, there's no question it has to be the leader at the top, unequivocally, period. We say, what does it take to lead a lean transformation? It takes the leader at the top to be fully engaged in the process. Number 2, it takes the leader at the top to be fully engaged in the process. Number 3, it takes the leader at the top to be fully engaged in the process. Yeah, if you want a total transformation in an organization, absolutely. But if you're a middle-level manager, if you're a Gemba person working on the shop floor, no, you don't need them. Everyone in life has a sphere of influence. You have influence over your bedroom, your bathroom, your car, You have a sphere of influence with 1 or 2 employees that you might be responsible for, or just the machine area that you work in, or just the office cubicle that you work in. You take that sphere of influence and that environment, and you start applying lean thinking to it relentlessly every day. And you will get astounding results. I literally, personally, make between 10 and 30 improvements every day. And I have never deviated from that. There is that much waste.
Thanks, Paul. Anybody else want to throw in some questions?
Steve, John Maxwell here. I might just ask a question of Paul. Paul, thanks very much for that brilliant presentation and your insights.
Thank you.
Really, really deep.
My pleasure.
And I was really interested in the teaching versus showing, and I think maybe that's where a lot of places go wrong. You know that. I know I started off my journey on Six Sigma, and it was all about the charts and the graphs and all of that.
Absolutely.
And being the experts, but more recently we've stepped back, and you know, it's allowing the people to be facilitated in a way to do what they need to do. Just to maybe as a follow-on to Steve's question, how have you seen examples of leaders or owners of businesses who aren't bought into it and then become bought into it, you know, through examples? Because not everyone buys into it.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And that could be a little bit of a tough one, but absolutely, I've seen that transformation happen time and time again. It's actually happening right in front of me right now, because as I told Steve, I'm working with a company that's a $2 billion company with 5,000 employees from Kazakhstan. We're training 75 of their top leaders right now. And I spoke to them about 7 years ago in Kazakhstan, and they were doing really well. And then they got distracted by the next shiny little object that came along. One of them went to Harvard and got a degree in business management, came back and tried to apply it, forgot about lean thinking, and the whole company kind of crashed and went down. They called me back up and brought me back, and now I've got the 3 top owners here, and they're completely making a transformation in their mind now because they understand philosophically what's going on. And here is the big issue. Lean is not a tool. It is a philosophy. It is a very, very deep philosophy. And if you approach it as a set of tools, you will fail, and it will not have any legs or any staying power. But the minute you understand really what we're doing with lean, and I'll explain to that right now, what we are really doing, we are really developing human beings. We are valuing the input from other people. We're listening to them. We're listening to their ideas. We're allowing them to have time to run experiments and learn and develop their brain and their skills. And when you understand that that's really what Toyota is doing, and that really is what lean is all about, I think most people will become convinced, just like the leaders of this big company that I'm dealing with right now, because this is exactly the way I present it in Japan. And they're literally, I literally had a billionaire next to me today bussing the table after we ate lunch. I make everybody clean up all the tables for the waiters, bring everything to the edge, wipe the table down, put all the chairs in. These people drive around in chauffeurs in Rolls Royces. They don't do stuff like this. They fly in private jets and helicopters everywhere. And they are cleaning the table in Japan because they learn respect for human beings at a level they never realized before. And when you approach it from a philosophical standpoint, anyone can change.
Thank you, Paul. I love your garden.
Did I answer the question, John?
You did. And I'm just saying, I love your garden. It's a beautiful garden. Well done.
It is stunning, isn't it? It looks kind of Irish, doesn't it? It looks very green like Ireland.
I think there's 40 shades of green there somewhere.
Yeah.
So Paul, just on the chat, there's a question in from Richie, and I suppose we often talk about this in businesses. I mean, the goal is to stop. You know, when something goes wrong, somebody can't do something, the goal is to stop. But the other side of that is the pressure is to get the customer served, get the job done.
Absolutely.
How do
Absolutely.
you balance those in an organization that maybe more time?
Great question. It's a great question. So I'll tell you how we do it and how I teach it. It's very simple. We set aside, and I don't recommend this much time, but we set aside a half hour every morning before we ever do anything. And we just 3S: sweep, sort, and standardize our entire facility. If you've seen the video of our facility, we've got almost 750,000 views on the videos. Just type in Lean Tour Fastcap and you'll see the company. It's staggering. It's flawless. It's perfect. Every tool's in place. You can eat off the floor. It's amazing because every morning for a half hour, we sweep, sort, and standardize everything in the facility. Now, are we really cleaning the facility? No. That's what the vehicle or the tool we use to find problems. We stop. As we're cleaning, we're seeing a cord that may not be up to speed. We're seeing a machine that's wearing incorrectly. And it gives us the opportunity to make improvements, do preventive maintenance. So the first thing we tell people to do is just allocate 10 minutes a day, every day, for the rest of your life, whether it be making the bed in your hotel room, making your bed or cleaning up your counter in your bathroom, taking a minute and pausing and sorting your glove box in your car. I don't care what it is. Get in the habit of 3Sing. When I turn on my computer, I'm always 3Sing my computer. My desktop is perfectly clean. I don't have any files left over, residues from old work. I'm always 3Sing everything, looking for problems and looking for opportunities to improve. So the first step is every day, create a habit. We call it, in Japanese, we call it a kata, K-A-T-A, a routine that supports you finding problems. That's the first thing. The second thing is that people don't understand that if you get in the habit of stopping and fixing things, it's going to give you more time than it's ever going to take from you. Last week, when I was with the team from Kazakhstan, we got to the end of the seminar and we were sitting in Kyoto. And I asked him, so what do you think? And they walked up to me and said, Paul, I came here and I gave you 7 days of my life. A lot of money and not really a lot of money, but I gave you money and I gave you 7 days of my life. But it turns out I didn't give you anything. I got time. For the rest of my life, I see all the waste and I will recover this in spades for the little bit of time I gave you in Japan because of what I've learned. So people have to realize that by stopping, you're going to get the time back. I mean, I never have an issue with getting my production out. We ship everything in my company 2 hours from the time we get the order to the time we make it, pack it, and get it in the truck. It's unprecedented. No, I don't know any company in the world that can do it. We never worry about getting the work done, but we always stop and fix everything. Did that answer the question, Steve?
Absolutely. Okay. One in the chat from Andrew, slightly different topic. The word lean. Is lean a barrier to lean in some environments?
Say it again.
Is the word lean, does that put people off? A lot of connotations with
it doesn't. It puts some people off, but usually it's because people don't understand what it means and how it was named, what the nomenclature is all about. So I'll explain it to you. John Krafcik wrote an article about what Toyota was doing in the 80s, because basically Toyota, everybody went into this huge dive in the economy, and all the major corporations in the world took a dive and, either went broke or had huge financial problems, but nothing happened to Toyota. And they what the heck? How did Toyota pull this up? And so as John Krafcik looked into it, he discovered that what Toyota had done is they created a lean organization. The way he described it is like a lean athlete, or it's like a lean runner, because John Krafcik happened to be an athlete and a runner. He says it's like a guy running a marathon with no fat on him, with just absolutely only what he needed. So he was able to perform at this really high level and not take along anything extra. And basically all Toyota's done is eliminate all the fat. Who wants to carry around a bunch of food? That when we're all overweight, this is exactly what we're doing. We're just carrying around a refrigerator with us. What the hell? Why are we doing this? So Toyota said, why are we carrying all this inventory? Why are we carrying all these things? Because our processes are bad. So Toyota started working on their processes and lean them out, reduce the fat. And that's how lean comes about. I think it's a beautiful name. And I love the word lean. And it's not about cutting people. It's not about eliminating jobs. It's about eliminating the refrigerator around your stomach that half of us are walking around with. Why in the world do we want that? The really common sense name in my mind.
Hi guys, it's Nigel Gibson here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul. I guess the one thing that I found very interesting was how you deal with the barriers to culture change. And I know you had said in your book that you had to let your brother-in-law go because it just
boy, you read the book,
fitting
didn't
in.
you?
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem in a lot of companies, or a lot of companies I've worked in over the years, that they can't make the difficult decisions, which is destroying your culture. What's your advice on dealing with that?
Well, Nigel, it's really a pretty simple answer, and I'll explain it this way. 95% of why people don't work in an organization is not because of the people, it's because of the poor processes that the people are working in. And the first thing you need to do is make sure that the process that you're asking them or requiring them to do really makes sense and is functioning well. And then you need to make sure they're trained correctly to do the process, and you've done your due diligence. And then you need to make sure philosophically they understand what it is you're really trying to do as an organization. For instance, if you come to Fastcap and you ask people, what's the purpose of Fastcap? Everyone will just tell you, just that quick, to grow people. That's all we do. We just develop our people all day long. And the result is we're incredibly profitable. Our people are paid way more than any other organization. And our customers love us, and we don't have an advertising department and a sales department. We do $40 million in 40 countries all over the world. We don't have all the nonsense everybody else has, because everybody understands, who works for us, exactly what we're doing. We're eliminating waste by developing you to become process engineers. So once you've crossed that your processes are good, your people are trained well, they understand philosophically where you're going, and they agree with it, and you've done that due diligence, you've done those three things, and they still don't want to be a part of your organization, then it's time to let them go. But you need to make sure you've done those things. And, one bad person can wreck an organization in 1 year. You can have a great organization, you can bring one person in that has a crappy attitude, doesn't get it, they can destroy a whole organization in 1 year, hands down. It'll take you years to rebuild it and get it back. So you got to deal with those people. But before you deal with those people, you got to deal with yourself. You got to make sure you've done the due diligence, and you've made sure they're trained correctly, and you've educated them on the philosophy. Once you've done that, it's time to part ways. Did that answer the question, Nigel?
Yeah, pretty much. And I guess Tom Hughes pretty much sums it up pretty well too. Change the people or change the people. No, and that includes yourself. Exactly. I guess to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you in September at the Lean Summit.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're going to be there. That's great. Should be a lot of fun. I'm bringing Mr. Amazawa, former vice president of Lexus, Georgetown, Kentucky president, and Mr. Umemura, the top tier 2 supplier in Japan. I'm bringing them both with me. So you'll be able to meet some really super heavy hitters in the whole Toyota production system.
Fantastic.
Any more questions?
Steve, I have one if that's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Paul. Edel Leiden here. Lovely to meet you. Huge fan of yours.
Nice to meet you too.
I just wanted to know if you'd have any advice for a company that's really trying to, be a continuous improvement cultured company, but again, extremely busy, working in food manufacturing. Would you have any advice from previous experiences where a company, the space is quite small and they're actually we'll say outsourcing their storage and kind of going back and forth to the storage facility during the day and things like that to get produce and get, replenish the lines. Obviously there's a bigger plan to try and, lean out the space and make sure everything is all the waste is removed. But like, do you have any advice, from seeing these kind of transformations?
I do. I do. How do you say your name one more time?
Edel.
So yes, I have hopefully some really good advice for you on that one. So first of all, how many employees? Just so I have an idea of the size of the
100.
Okay. So this is what I would do, Edel. I would forget about 95 of those people. I would not even worry about them at all. I would go find one little corner of your organization with hopefully somebody that really wants to do lean. And I would work on that one little tiny area, that one little tiny space. And I would try to learn what lean means in that one little spot. And after you spend about 4 weeks there, I bet you're going to be shocked at what's going to happen in the productivity in that one little space. And then once you begin to really understand what lean is and what lean can do for you, then you can kind of bring over 2 or 3 other people and say, check out the sewing department or whatever department you decide to work in. Look at this place. Do you remember what it used to look like 4 weeks ago? How'd you do that? Well, it's really pretty easy. We just started 3S'ing, and every time there was a problem or a bottleneck or something was stopped, we asked ourselves, why is it stopped? How could we get it to not stop? How could we create flow? How could we reduce variation? And we just started doing that in 4 weeks. The whole department kind of just like turned around. This one little area just turned around. So you create a learning laboratory within your organization. You forget about the rest of the organization. It's way too big. 100 people. Oh my gosh, that'd be overwhelming for me. You start in one spot and you use that as the learning laboratory. That's how I would do it.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Did that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. My pleasure.
Hi, everyone. So I have a question. My name is Indra. Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And your name's Linda?
Indra.
Indra. Oh, that's a cool name. Indra. Go ahead, Indra.
Thank you. So I work for a very lean company and, been in different areas as well. And we had this approach that, if some error or mistake happens, so we always kind of refer back to the process and they say like, oh, it's not people, but it's the process. But in some companies, what I noticed that then people became a bit of vague having this approach, and they kind of taking less responsibilities if we focus mostly on the process and process improvement. And did you notice from your experience something similar, or like that people step sometimes, aside of responsibility if we are focusing fixing the process, for example?
I haven't ever noticed that. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist or it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that the problem would be that the people who are acting that way, if you will, have not been educated on the importance of serving their downstream and upstream customer. So in our lean world, we have internal customers and external customers. Or external customers are the people buying our product, but we have internal customers. That's the person upstream and downstream that we're providing products for, that have to work with what we've done. And the attitude needs to be that you're a servant to those people and you want to deliver perfect quality, and that is of the highest importance. So it's a little bit of an unusual attitude if somebody's been educated correctly. You just simply say, would you want someone to give you a defect? How would you like to work with? How would you like to walk up to the sink to make your food and somebody left their chicken bones in there. You want that defect? You want, you want people, you want to walk in the bathroom and have it look pretty bad because somebody wasn't respecting the fact that you're coming in next. Well, when you pass a defect on to somebody else, you're basically not respecting the person upstream and downstream from you, let alone the final customer. So you have to take a high level of responsibility for what you're doing. And if there's a process problem, we want to address that process. Absolutely. And we'll do everything we can to help you do that. But it also takes a modicum of thoughtfulness from your part to understand the impact you're having on people. And you need to educate people about that. And I don't have that problem because I have those very clear conversations with everybody about what we're really doing. We're servants at our company. We're servants to the people that we work with, and we're there to provide extraordinary quality and service to them. Did that help you at all?
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Yeah, makes sense. Completely makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, Steve. Just a quick question. Richie here again. Just to ask Paul, when you were talking about your presentation, Mr. Yoshino was from a heavily unionized company. How do you engage the union in Lean when they're entrenched in their ideologies?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's a beautiful story how he was able to do that. Well, it's really quite simple, and it's how Toyota works and functions, and most people don't understand that about Toyota. It's basically shoulder to shoulder. You could sit someone down and lecture them all day long in a conference room, but when you put a Japanese worker next to an American worker and they don't speak the same language, and the only way they can communicate is by what the Japanese worker is showing the American worker, and all of a sudden the American worker feels empowered because this Japanese worker can stop an entire factory by pulling one cord, and he isn't stressed out. And the kacho or the supervisor comes over and says, "So what's the problem? All the cars are stopped." He says, "Well, this bolt's not threading in right." And the kacho comes over and says, "Oh, that's because this technique right here, if you do this, it helps you." And then the line restarts, or maybe the bolt is flawed for some reason. And those issues are addressed. And the American worker looks at that and says, "God, what respect." I mean, the boss comes over and didn't yell at him. He didn't get in trouble for stopping a production line with 1,000 cars on it. There's a saying in Japan that Japanese children learn by watching their father's back. You convince people by your actions, by slowly, shoulder to shoulder, working with them side by side and showing them a better way.
Thank you.
Did that answer the question?
It did, yes. Thank you.
I think that's
it works every time.
That's a lovely way to wrap up, isn't it? That's a thought. Paul, I know it's late in Tokyo. I really, really appreciate that last hour. We're going to produce a recording, and we'll put that out on the network if anybody wants to watch back some of what Paul shared today. But thanks a million. The experience shows through. I'm sure you could talk about this stuff all day long.
For years.
Yeah.
For years.
It's been a pleasure. Maybe you might come back again someday with us.
Anytime, Steve. I'm happy to do it anytime.
We'll definitely keep in touch. So thanks a million, and thanks everybody for attending. We're just at 1 o'clock now. Thank you.